Good evening, I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. The dictator is dead. Gaddafi's body, shown in photographs, bullet-ridden. Questions raised right now in international reporting. There is a video of the dictator alive after capture. The chronology is patchy, but it looks like a NATO airstrike at Sirte, his hometown, where he was holed up these last days, although there was information he was in the south just days ago. Anyway, Sirte, the convoy was hit by a NATO airstrike. That's predators. He took refuge in what looks to be sewer drain pipes. He was cornered by guerrillas. The video shows him alive, shows him in exchanging conversation with his captors. Then it shows him dead, drenched in blood, gut shot and headshot. Not a good story. A lot of details to come. The dictator is dead. Libya is free. Trouble's here. I'm John Batchelor. Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, joins me this evening. And Mary, I cover this story very carefully. You've known that for many years, since the attack on New York. North Africa, the Maghreb, is a subset of the larger problem of the turmoil in the Arab world, the Ummah, the fabled caliphate of 1,000 years ago. The death of Gaddafi is significant in that it's another marker on the page of where we are and what we've achieved by watching and participating in this bloodbath these last 10 years. So I wanted to pause here and let you ask me questions about this, because oftentimes I don't hesitate. I bring on people and we talk about the events, but I hesitate to give out all the information I have, not because I'm selfish, but because I want to hear from my guests. I'm going to be your guest, Mary. Good evening to you. Good evening to you.
Well, good evening, John. You have been covering the story for a very long time. I recall that you were one of the first to identify al-Qaeda as a threat to the homeland of the United States. Now, what I'm struck by today with the death of Gaddafi is really the jubilant celebrations throughout the country and really around the world. Yet you don't seem so upbeat about the future of the country. Elaborate on that for me. What do we have to worry about?
Libya is a tribal culture. It never changed. Gaddafi was from a weak tribe, but he made deals with the powerful tribes, divided into 3 provinces. Cyrenaica, the one that revolted, where Benghazi is, and the one that NATO protected in the early days of the war. And Tripolitania, where Tripoli is, where Gaddafi died, where Sirte is. And then there's the desert, which has very few people in it. So we'll concentrate on the 2 coastal provinces. However, this is a subset of the whole of the Maghreb, North Africa.
What is the Maghreb?
The 5 countries of North Africa, not Egypt, but we have Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania. And those 5 countries do not have any bearing on the lines that we see drawn in the map. Those were all drawn by European colonial powers. These countries mix tribes and mix allegiances, so that Gaddafi has some of the Berbers in Libya, some of the Berbers are in Algeria, some of the Berbers, the Amazigh, are in Tunisia, and they don't have any reason to honor the presidents, the dictators, the bullies who live in the capital states.
But, John, there are institutions in some of these countries. I mean, look at Egypt. This is a country that for many, many years was supported by the United States, received a lot of money, has institutions of justice, of commerce, of trade. They have a police force. Why is it that Egypt could not serve as an example? I mean, these countries can't be all equal in the challenges that they face.
You cleverly choose the one example that is in which the saying is, all of the Arab world, there's one nation, Egypt. The rest are tribes. That's the saying.
Well, lucky guess, John.
You pick Egypt, and it's a good one because it goes back to 3000 BC and the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. There's a lot to say about Egypt, and I'm separating it out of the Maghreb. Egypt is the leverage point. The Mashriq to the east and the Maghreb to the west. I'm speaking just now of the subset of the Maghreb. Gaddafi falls because of NATO's pressure. But NATO had to hire local allies. It had to cooperate, and that was Cyrenaica. And my information is that Cyrenaica and Mohammed Jibril himself, and Mohammed Jibril is well known. You've seen him on the pictures and the video, and he travels, and he's now a state leader. His whole family are jihadists. They all come from Cyrenaica. Many of them participated in the fighting against the Americans in Iraq. We killed a lot of Libyans in Iraq. The jihadists of Cyrenaica are very well known throughout the Arab world. Gaddafi's fall is a product of the jihadists and the Islamists and very careful and expedient decisions they made in the early days of the Arab Spring to bless the self-immolation. You remember it started in Tunis, right? Self-immolation in Tunis, self-immolation in Cairo. To bless that as a worthy activity by a jihadist. In other words, this is blessed by God. The jihadists and the Islamists all joined together, and they now control and guide this upheaval, throwing out the dictators and replacing with what we will see shortly as Sharia law from the Atlantic until Gaza.
What about Tunisia, John?
Tunisia's elections are, at this point, fragile for the state of Tunis. But the jihadists so completely control this whole region, no one state can stand up to their pressure. In other words, this isn't like a nation state with a civil society that can stand off with courts and an army, the ambitions of their neighbors, I'm told. Now, I don't have evidence. I've never traveled there. But I do know that, for example, the jihadists, the Islamists, all of that weaponry that came free in Libya didn't fall into the hands of the black market and flow into Europe. In fact, it turned into Gaza. How did it get to Gaza? There's no camel train that goes from Tripoli to Sinai to Gaza. It went there because the jihadists and the Islamists wanted it to.
So, John, today the White House spokesman Jay Carney was asked about this. What kind of aid would the United States give to the newly free Libya? And he was very coy about that. He said, well, there are plans in place, but we're not at liberty to discuss this time exact details. Given the gloomy scenario that you have just laid out, should we just throw up our hands, or is there something that the administration should be doing?
My hands are in the air.
Oh, John.
Yes. I know that Americans don't like to hear this, but here it is right now. We're in the midst of an Arab reawakening. And that Arab reawakening will go through phases that we can't control. We're on the sidelines of this. It's been going on for at least 10 years since the attack on New York and Washington. This renaissance, this renovatio, this reawakening will be violent, as ours was in the 15th and 16th century.
Iraq, do you see those things in Iraq?
There is a axis of Shia from Tehran to Baghdad to Damascus to Beirut. There is an axis of Sunni from Ankara to Amman to Riyadh to Cairo. That is the battle, the ancient battle of the Shia and the Sunni. Only one winner. As America creates a vacuum and pulls out of the region, they will fight for supremacy. Yes. It's a battle that started 1,000 years ago. Now it has nukes. I'm John Batchelor, Mary Kissel of the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal. This is The John Batchelor Show.